Are you ready, Adrian? Patrick's here.
I said Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's Star Wars. Oh, simple.
Welcome to The One Show with Princess Leia Child.
I look more like some kind of druid in that thing.
Yeah.
And Christine Blakely. A big hello to Patrick Stewart. Patrick.
Thank you. And you thought maybe having a transplant, wearing that permanently. You look so good.
I did look good.
Disturbing, but kind of good. Patrick, mindful of banging on too much about Star Trek, we've given ourselves the incentive of a sort of Star Trek swear box, OK?
Here it is. Obviously, it's a Klingon, so that's an offence straight away. So I'll put £1 in. For every reference to Star Trek, Comic Relief gets £1. There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it doesn't say, Captain.
No.
Klingons off the board now.
Perhaps every time I put some money in, you could make that sound, though. That would
do it, yes, for a small fee.
Yeah. I mean, it does look a bit like Abraham Lincoln. If they modelled on him, the Klingon, do you think? He's got that look about him, hasn't he?
No, he doesn't
all
have
right.
any look of Abraham
Overwrought
Lincoln at all.
imagination. Listen, incredible career, Star Trek, X-Men, now Beckett. Incredible breadth of career. Really look forward to him.
Margaret Beckett?
No, Samuel Beckett.
Yeah.
That's the fact.
Oh, yes, right. I thought for a moment that you got me suddenly involved in politics.
No. Could do.
Samuel Beckett, yes, I'm sorry. I took a little detour then.
No, that's fine.
That's
we do
fine.
that on the show quite a
Samuel
bit.
Beckett, yes, it's been a lifelong ambition. I was 17 when I saw it with an unknown regional actor called Peter O'Toole, Bristol Vic Theatre, and I came out astonished by it and wanting to do it.
And now you're in it with Ian McKellen. We really look forward to hearing about that. That's great.
Last weekend, Australia officially mourned the deaths of the 210 people who lost their lives in those terrible bushfires.
One of the most horrifying things about it all is that some of those fires were started deliberately.
What on earth motivates anybody to do such a thing? Anita Rani looks at the human cost of arson here in the UK.
The more I watch that, the more worried I got. As well as it's no surprise it's only an 8% detection rate. How on earth do you ever catch anyone doing it? The evidence is destroyed, isn't
Absolutely, by nature of what it is, it's burnt away. Obviously, if it's a murder, you have a body, there might be a weapon involved, but by nature of what it is, there's no evidence, it's completely destroyed. But we shouldn't panic too much, you know. I mean, the figures are very shocking, but let's get it straight. You know, the chances that this would happen to you is very slim, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't protect ourselves against it, and we should all make sure we have smoke alarms in our house, lock our doors and windows when we go out. All those things are things we should be doing.
You've lived with a fire risk on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I lived in Los Angeles for years, and there the risk is earthquakes, but with earthquakes there goes the possibility of fire, you know, gas mains fracture. And I would look at every place that I lived in and determine if the worst were to happen, how would we all get out of here? And so it ended up with me having rope ladders in certain places, ropes just with knots in them so you can throw them out of the window and get out. And I would recommend anybody in there, no matter what kind of home or a flat you live in, to make that kind of research.
Of course it is. And that's it as well. I mean, what are the authorities doing to try and tackle the problem as well?
Yeah, because the detection rate's so slim.
Yeah.
Well, in 2001, the government set up something called the Arson Control Forum, which has brought together all the different authorities so they can communicate. So we've got the police, the fire and rescue, the insurers, the local authorities, so that there's cross-communication. So if they know that there's trouble in a certain part of town, there might be certain people involved, then people are communicating and you know what's happening across the board. And those are just things that can increase the chance of catching people who are involved. Yeah.
Okay, for more advice, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/The One Show. Anita, thank you very much. You can't do that. She's doing that Star Trek thing with her hands. Give us £1, it goes straight in the Klingon.
Yeah.
There you go. Another £1 to Comic Relief.
Thank you very much.
The man's, he's a serious actor, for heaven's sake.
What were you doing with the thumb? The thumb bit wasn't right at all.
That took years of practising, that did.
And you got it wrong. I think you'd have to be invisible. That would be my thing.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
what I'm dreaming. Whenever I watch West Brom play, I still fantasise about being invisible so I could run on the pitch and influence the game.
But why would you want to be invisible?
Well, no, but so
if you're going to run on the pitch in a West Brom kit,
No, because I could then trip their striker up, or I could, you know, or save the ball from going.
I don't approve of that.
Do you think about that with Huddersfield, your football team?
No, I'll be there. I'm in the strip with the boots in my bag, ready to go.
So what gadgets have you had in your films, you thought?
Well, I mean, probably the most well-known one is the mobile phone.
Yeah.
You remember William Shatner saying, "Scotty, do the beam up." Remember?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what he was using. Looks exactly like today's certain brands of mobile phone with the flip-up lid. But what we didn't have on Star Trek, and very few people have ever brought this up.
Hang on, that's a pound for mentioning Star Trek, by the way.
Oh, and by the way, earlier there was lots of talk of beaming up, and that's £1 for
Okay,
every
yeah,
beam
another
up.
one there. You're running out of Adrian.
Seatbelts.
Yeah.
No seatbelts on the Enterprise. Have you ever noticed that?
No.
So when we...
So we've got this great clip of you for a brilliant episode of Extras with Ricky Gervais when you're fantasising about a particular talent that you'd like to have.
You've seen me in X-Men.
Yeah.
The character I am, Professor Charles Xavier. If you remember, he can control things with the power of his mind. He can make people do things and see things. So I thought, what if you can do that for real?
All right.
So in my film, I play a man who controls the world with his mind.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, for instance, I'm walking along and I see this beautiful girl and I think I'd like to see her naked, and so all her clothes fall off.
All her clothes fall off.
Yes, and she's scrabbling around to get them back on again, but even before she can get her knickers on, I've seen everything.
You know, this all-seeing eye you have, I think you might have it in real life, judging by this photo with one of your colleagues there. What is he looking at? I wonder, look at that.
It doesn't leave much to the imagination,
You don't
really. You
need your
don't need
X-ray
it there,
specs
do
there,
you?
do
Yes, give your attention to your partner.
As it should be. Now, in X-Men, you started alongside Sir Ian McKellen, as we can see here, with whom you're in Waiting for Godot. We can see you in rehearsal here. I've seen this play a couple of times, and I still don't really understand the meaning of it. It's just two blokes hanging around, waiting for something to happen.
A running source to rope. It's the rubbing. It's inevitable. It's the knots, the chafing. Not bad looking.
Well, so what is it about? What are they waiting for?
They're waiting for a man called Godot who is going to save them. He's going to give meaning to their lives. And while they wait, they play games, they have routines that they do. They get a visitation from Simon Callow and from Ronald Pickup as Potso and Lucky, and they play some more games and they tell some jokes and they have some... Very, very fun. I think the problem was, if I may say so, you looked for too much seriousness in the work. It's a light-hearted piece. Beckett himself called it a tragi-comedy.
Right.
And as much as we love you in all of our blockbuster hit movies, Patrick, this is where your heart is, really, isn't it? Getting back to the theatre and being on the road again. And...
The last 4 years have been the best years of my life. I've done 5 Shakespeare productions, and now I'm doing a Beckett production, and I'm touring England in the spring for the next 2 months. What could be better?
We see you. We can see you here in Midsummer Night's Dream in 1977.
Oh, hello.
I mean, did you make a good King of the Fairies? You're in quite good condition there.
Calm down.
Yes.
I know.
Calm down.
You're not doing bad now, I must say. You must be doing some sit-ups in the morning.
Yes,
Looking
it's
fine.
anxiety. That's what does it.
So, what's been your favourite Shakespeare part to play? Then was Oberon there in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes, that was lovely. Well, I've just finished playing Claudius in the famous David Tennant Hamlet.
Yeah.
That was great. But I think the year before last, when I spent playing Macbeth for the year, was as thrilling as anything I've known.
Fantastic.
It's a real stopper to the conversation there.
No, not at all.